Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. So we finally have received a Theatres of War update, letting us know what is happening. So in today's video, let's take a look at that. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members who allow me to make these videos, in particular to my latest patron, Caractacus Potts. Thank you so much for your support. So Richard Tyra, who is the core gameplay director, took to Spectrum to bring us an update on the current progress and plans for Theatres of War, which is a combined arms FPS game mode which we heard about during CitizenCon 2019. Now, last we heard was there have been 2 Evocati playtests which were last year, and they are now working through the feedback received. Well, we have some new information, and Richard states that Theatres of War since the previous Evocati playtest has been playtested multiple times internally, which he says has been a really useful tool for them to hone down on performance and stability, and the work done has directly benefited both Squadron and the PU, but it is by no means taking resources away from other teams. They have been using Theatres of War as a benchmark for testing out different weapons, directly contributing into making many of the recently launched weapons much tighter for their launch, meaning more tuned and balanced. And also, it is helping them to drive the core mixed arms experience. Now, he goes on to say that the team working on Theatres of War have been working on addressing feedback from the last playtest, which is mostly to make sure that they are trying to replicate what a distilled version of the PU would play like, rather than a battlefield clone, which will serve nobody. Now, he understands that it's not a direct one-for-one comparison of the PU, but they are working towards making it feel more like the PU. For example, things like death being more meaningful, more strategic gunplay, and removing any boundaries, allowing you to go anywhere you want. Now, they do intend to bring Theatres of War to the Evocati again shortly, and have been making strides towards giving Theatres of War a more PU identity in how you spawn and play the game, but for them to even consider launching it to more people, they would need to improve the performance and netcode. And as the PU is affected in the same way, that improvement would be shared between the PU, Squadron, and Theatres of War. So basically, it is the same issues that we are suffering from on the PU, and when there are improvements in the persistent universe, then Theatres of War will receive the same improvements, and then they will likely look to expand to the further audience. So there's a couple of things to point out. It seems that they were not expecting this netcode to be such a major issue, or maybe they were hoping that it would be resolved in 2020, and as it's not, they want to wait until it is before expanding Theatres of War, which I completely agree with. It is a big problem in the PU, and if they were to release Theatres of War with the desync issues, it would just be a mess. The second thing to point out is they would like to make it feel less like a Battlefield clone and give it more of a Star Citizen PU identity. So, as it mentions in the post, creating more meaningful death, more strategic gunplay, and removing boundaries. Now, personally, I would have been more than happy with receiving what the Evocatis were playing, as that was fun, very arcadey, but still very enjoyable. But I do think it is a better choice to make something that feels more like Star Citizen as a whole, and it will actually allow us to practice our FPS skills, which will directly translate into the verse, and at the same time feel like we are playing a Star Citizen product and not just a random FPS shooter. I also expect that as they continue on Theatres of War and the PU, they will integrate many of the FPS features from the PU as they roll out, like weapon overheating, maybe energy charging and draining, FPS radar, and of course heavily expanding on the healing mechanics. Now, I have no idea what they meant by no boundaries. Does this mean that we'll have the option to approach objectives from any angle rather than the current channeled method, so maybe allowing deeper flanking perhaps? But either way, making Theatres of War unique to Star Citizen while still keeping it a game within a game will be much better in my opinion. As I say, I would have been happy with what it was, but if we are having to wait longer for it anyway due to these performance issues, then spending that time making it even better and more like a Star Citizen product is going to be time well spent. Now, I'm not going to delve into they said they want to get it out early next year debate, as to me, they got it to Evocatis as they wanted, but due to the performance and netcode issues, they soon realised it wouldn't be a good idea to release it further until that's resolved, and thus decided to wait for more improvements. Could they or should they have let us know sooner? Most likely, and I think they should have, but nobody wants a Theatres of War to release with it suffering the same issues as the PU, as it just wouldn't be fun and it would just add insult to injury. But I am somewhat excited to see exactly what they are intending to do with Theatres of War and how it will change from this Battlefield style game mode into something more akin to Star Citizen's PU. But it looks like we are going to have to wait a little bit longer until the performance and desync issues are resolved, which is an ongoing effort, as we've heard, with a lot of back-end work happening this year. So let's hope that this can fix the issues for all aspects of Star Citizen's development. So that is the update regarding Theatres of War. I have linked the original post to the description below, so by all means do read it yourself. I do appreciate Richard Tyra taking the time to respond and clear things up a bit more, but I do think a more promptly message could have helped earlier on for a lot of people if they were just to address it. As soon as they kind of see these issues arising and just keeping us in the loop a bit quicker would have been a much bigger benefit. But it is what it is. Anyway, with that said, 50.5% of my viewers are not subscribed. So if you could do me a big favor and hit that subscribe button to help the channel reach that 50%, I would really appreciate it. And if you want to be notified when my videos go live, do tick that notification bell. Also, if you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up, it does the channel a big benefit. And if you want to talk more about Star Citizen or its development, do come over to twitch.tv/supermacbrothersryan. The link is in the description. Again, I cannot do these videos without my patrons and channel members, so big thank you to those guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.